Antigravity just hit 76.2% on SWE bench verified, and Windsurf can't publish a number to match it. That gap could decide which tool runs your codebase on autopilot and which one asks permission at every step. Agentic IDEs are moving fast in 2026, so I'm putting Antigravity and Windsurf through 5 head-to-head tests to see who actually wins. The tool with the weaker benchmark score ends up winning more tests overall, and the conditional verdict is where that flips your decision. My name is Brian, and I'm in these tools 12 hours a day, so you don't have to be. Every number here traces back to official pricing pages, model docs, and sourced independent reviews. This one's for devs running multi-step autonomous tasks who need to know if that $20 a month actually buys full-stack autonomy. Test 1. Autonomous task execution. So, a solo dev shipping a full-stack feature on a Friday afternoon needs the agent to scaffold, test, patch, and verify, without stopping to ask permission 15 times. Every interruption costs real time and breaks your flow state, and the question I had going in was whether either tool can actually run that full loop without handholding. What surprised me was how concrete Antigravity's case is. It scored 76.2% on SWE bench verified, just 1% behind Claude Sonnet 4.5, and its agents run across editor, terminal, and browser without a single permission prompt in between. Windsurf's Cascade does plan and execute multi-file edits, but I couldn't find a published benchmark score to put next to that 76.2%. Antigravity takes test 1, and it's not closely on the evidence side. Windsurf's Cascade doesn't have a comparable number to point to, nothing published, and Antigravity also supports multiple agents working one task at the same time, which Windsurf doesn't document at all. Antigravity 1, Windsurf 0. Test 2. Pricing transparency. The objection I keep hearing is that both tools are basically the same price, so it doesn't matter. But if you don't know what a credit actually costs in tokens, you can't budget a project, and you can't tell whether you burned $40 or $4 on that last agent run, which is a real workflow problem, not a minor detail. What I found was a pretty clear split. Windsurf publishes its credit rate at 0 OAS per credit with listed overage costs, so you can do the math before you run anything. Antigravity's tier pricing is clear enough, but the credit to token conversion is undisclosed, and the free tier has been cut 4 separate times since December 2025, which makes planning even harder. Both tools land in the same $0 to $200 per month range, so the gap isn't the price itself. Now, to be fair, the raw price range is identical for both tools, $0 to $200 a month. So if you're on a fixed plan and you never hit overages, this whole transparency gap might not affect you at all. The place it really bites is when you're running heavy agent loops and trying to predict your monthly bill before it lands. Windsurf takes test 2. Going in, I figured the pricing would be basically a wash since both top out at $200 a month, but the hidden credit math on Antigravity's side is a real issue if you're running long agent sessions, and Windsurf's 0.04 per credit is just clearer. That ties the overall score at 1 each. Test 3, IDE, integration, and ease of use. The number I kept thinking about here is 0, as in 0 days of ramp-up time most teams are willing to accept when switching tools mid-project. If the IDE feels alien, people stop using the agent features and just type code manually, which defeats the whole point of paying for either of these tools. Both tools are built on VS Code foundations, so the interface feels familiar right away, and the gap in beginner experience turned out smaller than I thought it would be. Windsurf's Cascade lets you watch and approve or reject each change in real time, which is genuinely useful when you're learning, and Antigravity has a manager surface dashboard, plus an explicit code lab designed for all skill levels so neither one leaves beginners stranded. The honest take is that the difference comes down to control style, not skill level. Windsurf's step-by-step approval flow is better if you want to stay in the loop on every change, and Antigravity's dashboard is better if you're comfortable watching agents run and only stepping in when something looks off. Neither approach is wrong, it just depends on how much you trust the agent by default. Test 3 is a genuine tie. Windsurf's Cascade approval flow is slightly better for beginners, but Antigravity's Code Lab and familiar VS Code feel closes the gap fast, so call it even. Score stays Antigravity 1, Windsurf 1, 1 tied. Alright, so we've got model flexibility and dev speed still ahead, and those two tests are where the score actually moves. Model flexibility in particular matters if you're already paying for your own API keys, because the answer there could save you real money every month and completely change which tool makes sense for your workflow. Test 4. Custom AI model compatibility. The day you want to plug in a model you're already paying for through your own API key, and the tool just won't let you do it cleanly, you're paying twice for the same capability, and for teams running dozens of agent sessions a week, that adds up fast. So I looked at which tool actually lets you bring your own key without friction. Windsurf supports bring your own key on both free and pro plans, so you can use GPT-5, Claude, Gemini, or SWE1 with your own API key and skip the credit system entirely. Antigravity's default lineup is solid: Gemini 3 Pro, Claude Sonnet, and Opus 4.6, GPT OSS 120B. But I couldn't find documented BYOK support anywhere, and community reports flag real difficulty configuring custom OpenAI compatible models in Antigravity, so take that as a fair warning. To be fair, Antigravity's default model lineup is genuinely strong. If you're happy running Gemini 3 Pro or Claude Opus 4.6 through the platform, you probably won't feel the BYOK gap at all, and this only becomes a real problem if you have an existing API contract or want to run a model that isn't on Antigravity's default list, which is a pretty specific situation. Windsurf takes test 4 on model flexibility. Given how deep the rest of Antigravity's agent stack goes, I figured there'd be at least a documented path for custom models. But I couldn't find one, and the community reports confirm it's a friction point. Windsurf's BYOK on free and pro is just more open, and that puts Windsurf ahead 2-1 with 1 tied. Test 5. Development speed and debugging. A Fortune 500 dev running 50 agent sessions a week needs to know if the tool is actually cutting their coding time in half, or just feeling fast, because the difference between a real speed gain and a perceived one shows up in your sprint velocity after a month, not in a demo. Both tools have a strong case here, just in different ways. Antigravity's agents run a full autonomous loop, scaffold, dev server, end-to-end tests, CSS patch, verify, all without asking permission once, and it has manager view for async multi-agent parallelism that Windsurf doesn't document. Windsurf's Super Complete reportedly cuts coding time in half according to community reports from Fortune 500 devs, though I want to flag that's community reported, not a controlled benchmark. Test 5 is a tie, and I'll be straight with you. The multi-agent parallelism on Antigravity's side had me thinking it would pull ahead, but Windsurf's Super Complete speed claim is strong enough that I can't call it without a head-to-head on the same task. Both sides have real evidence, just not directly comparable evidence. Final score: Antigravity 1, Windsurf 2, 2 tied. Antigravity wins on raw autonomous depth. It scored 76.2% on SWE Bench verified. Its agents run the full stack, editor, terminal, browser, without a single permission prompt, and its manager view lets multiple agents work one task in parallel. If you want the agent to run the whole show with a published score to back it up, Antigravity is the pick. Windsurf wins on transparency and control. Its $0.04 per credit is publicly documented with listed overages. BYOK works on free and pro plans, so you can use your own API key without touching credits. And Cascade's step-by-step approval flow lets you watch and reject every change in real time. If you want to stay in control of every step and every dollar, Windsurf is the cleaner choice. Okay, so here's the honest call. Going in, I thought the tool with the 76.2% SW bench score would run the table, but Windsurf won 2 tests to Antigravity's 1 with 2 ties. If you need maximum autonomy and you're fine not knowing the exact credit math, go Antigravity. If you need clear costs and the freedom to bring your own model, go Windsurf, because that 76.2% is real. It just doesn't decide everything. If antigravity's agent depth caught your attention, you're going to want to watch the video I did called Claude Code versus Google Antigravity. It wasn't close, because that one gets into how antigravity stacks up against the tool most people are already using, and the result is pretty interesting.